Hey, gang. Seems like anytime the topic of multi-crew ships comes up, someone will inevitably bring up the topic of AI blades. These will effectively be modules that you can install in your components that will give your ship's computer control over specific functions of your ship. Following up on the previous vid on NPCs, this is part 2 and the one I think is arguably more important and less understood by the community. Unlike the shallow dive on NPCs though, the information that we have on AI blades is both smaller in volume and more specific in what CIG has said and alluded to. Also, unlike NPCs, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about blades out there. So if that sounds interesting to you, let's get this. See, even the intro was shorter. So if you're wondering about NPCs that will lumber around your ship and do menial tasks, links in the up above parts of the vid that I just did on that subject. This one is more focused on the option I hear about a lot more often. And I feel like the expectations for AI blades have gone way off the rails. So let's get into why. First off, here's a quick primer on what AI blades are and why the community is rightfully excited for them. AI blades plug into a ship's computer and, in theory, will be able to do some tasks that would normally be reserved for a human or NPC. The benefits are pretty obvious just from that perspective. An AI blade doesn't need food, water, or creature comforts. It's not going to be sucking up life support. Most people, when the topic of AI blades come up, immediately jump to using them in turrets. The benefits are pretty obvious because the AI blade doesn't need to sleep or take time off, so you effectively have a turret that's always on. No food, no water, no morale, no sleep, no time off, just a robot crew member that's always vigilant. Where's the downside, right? Let's get into that, because when people jump to this conclusion, there's a lot they're leaving on the table. Well, let's pick up some of that stuff from the table and take a closer look. First off, let's start with what an AI blade actually is. We don't know a whole lot about this subject, but we can make some good guesses. Over the years, we've had a few examples of module slots for various components, and they've mentioned it in the past that the number of slots will likely be tied to the grade of the component. So where a grade A component has 3 slots, a grade D component might not have any. To this point, we haven't seen a component with more than 3 module slots. Chances are good that the slots on the CPU component will be able to take an AI blade. You slot in the blade, you tell it what role you want it to perform, or maybe the blade is a specialized piece of tech and only a quote-unquote turret blade can operate a turret remotely. But it can't do anything else. We just don't know at this point, and I'll get into those limitations in a sec. If a grade A CPU only has 3 slots, that means that the max number of turrets you'll be able to control with AI blades will be 3. Maybe capital components will have more slots, but for now the safe bet is 3 until we know more. This means that the people thinking they'll be soloing a hammerhead across the verse are probably in for disappointment. Another downside is that an AI turret blade is going to be sucking up a slot in the CPU. For right now, I think the AI blade is the only module we've really heard of so far. But if the mining game loop is any indicator, there will be a ton of modules that can ride those slots instead. Modules that might make your ship better able to perform other tasks that are just as important as manning a turret, or more. So anyone wanting to go the full blade route will need to be willing to do a cost-benefit analysis of whether they'd want to sacrifice that module slot for an AI-controlled turret. Now we're starting to get into I don't really want to call it downsides, because an always-on turret is definitely an upside. It's useful, but let's call it things to take into consideration. And maybe an AI blade isn't the ultimate I win button that some people are thinking it will be. On top of the limitation of the number of slots and the fact that the number of turrets may exceed the number of slots available, and that those slots might be better used for other modules depending on what you're doing, there are a couple other known features of AI blades that might level out the playing field for them. So first, let's take a look at the lore for the AI in the verse, because I feel there's some hints for what's in store for AI blades buried in the lore. For example, there's a reason why the drones we'll have one day are remote controlled things and not AI driven. We know that humanity has had some serious issues with AI in the lore, and the Xi'an have had similar issues. I'd recommend popping over to Astropub for more on that subject, as the lore is more his baby. But suffice it to say that humanity's trust of AI is pretty damn low. It feels a bit like CIG is setting the stage for the limitations of an AI blade's capabilities. While I think there will probably be different grades of AI blades, with more expensive ones being more capable, I think that blades will also tend towards the bare minimum of skill. Think more like the turrets that are currently operating around bunkers. While they're real persistent, they aren't the most accurate things in the world. So don't get me wrong, I don't think AI blades will be useless. It's just like I was saying in the NPC vid. I feel like having an AI blade will definitely be better than nothing, but I also feel that most NPCs will generally be better than most AI blades. Of course, with the NPC, you have to feed them, pay them, and keep them happy, so maybe that's a sacrifice you're willing to make. So while I think AI blades will be able to fill a role, I don't think they'll be elite game changers. And just given things that CR and other CIG devs have said in the past, I would expect them to go with humans being better than NPCs and NPCs being better than blades, but blades will be better than nothing. You can run your ship short-handed, but CR wants people walking around those ships and breathing life into them, even if that life is NPCs. Where the AI blade will have static abilities, an NPC will probably improve over time. So an AI blade with a turret ability of, let's say, 50, for example, will forever have that ability at 50, and that will never change unless it takes damage or somehow degrades, so it can get worse. But while an NPC might start at, let's say, 30, their ability might rise to 80 over time. Again, these are just numbers that I'm pulling out of my butt to make a point, but hopefully you get the idea. Finally, being a machine part, I fully believe that AI blades will degrade over time thanks to the wear and tear system and will need to be repaired. It probably won't be as expensive as an NPC, granted, but just game balance suggests that its cheaper price will come at a cost of skill level, as I mentioned before. To another point, what happens when your ship is shut down, either soft death or via disruption weapons, or if someone actually hacks your ship and turns things off, or if you just have it powered down? A human or NPC will still be able to do things. An NPC you've hired to work in a turret may still be able to drag you to safety in a firefight, or even pick up a weapon of their own and defend themselves and the ship, and maybe you by extension. A blade can't do that. Maybe the NPCs will have secondary skills that are also useful. So better morale, maybe they're a medic, an engineer, maybe they're good at boxing, who the hell knows. The virtual AIs will have a more robust stat sheet than an AI blade just by the nature of what they are. I could see a group on, say, a Carrack sending down a small team on an away mission, and while the Carrack is short-handed, slotting in a couple blades as a just-in-case stopgap. I could see blades being real useful if someone in your group can't drop for a bit, and you're expecting at least the possibility of combat. So I do think that AI blades will have a place in the verse, and on most ships, pretty much anything that's bigger than a Titan, but I kind of doubt it'll be a permanent one. I also think that most people will probably have a couple AI blades stored away in their inventory on their ship somewhere, just in case they come up with those situations where they need a turret gunner, but they don't have enough people on their ship. So there will be a place for AI blades in the verse on most ships. I'm just not sure it'll be one that'll be an everyday occurrence. I definitely think there are some people out there who will absolutely fill up every slot with AI blades and have a blast and keep them there 100% of the time. But I don't think they'll be as commonplace as most people are thinking it'll be right now. But that's just my thoughts on it. So what are yours? Let me know if you think I'm way off on this or if you think I hit the nail on the head. Let me know down below if you haven't already. Like and subscribe. You know the drill. And catch me next time.